There's something about fall that slows you down. Maybe it's the fact that I want hot coffee instead of cold, or the cold breeze in the mornings that you just don't expect. Maybe it's the fact that the nights are coming sooner. Maybe it's the fact that the daylight is just not as long as it used to be. Whatever the reason, fall invites us to slow down. When I think of slowing down, I think of being present. I think there's so many times when people tell you, like, slow down, just be present. And I've realized that being present is not a super helpful phrase. For me personally, I found that being present just comes up with a lot of pressure. The pressure to have things figured out, the pressure to experience things that maybe you don't want to, experience things that maybe you're protecting yourself from. And it can get really complicated, really hard, and really overwhelming to be present. As I've thought about fall and being present and slowing down, I've started to realize that maybe there's a different approach we could have. Instead of slowing down, instead of being present, what if we just took the time to notice? For me, noticing has been this small, simple step. It's actionable. Being present isn't actually its own action. Noticing is. And it's simple enough to be able to actually do it. Let me tell you a story about when this became really clear for me. A few weeks ago, we were at a cottage and I was feeling very overwhelmed by life. The week was really full, and honestly, everything felt like it was stopping me in my tracks. I just couldn't get anything right, and I was just disappointed by a lot of things. And I knew once I got to this cottage that things would be okay. I'd have my morning time, I'd have my journal, my coffee, my Bible, all of the things to fix what was going on in me emotionally, physically, all of these things. So I finally had my morning, I was ready to go. And all of a sudden, I heard a boat out on the water where it was overlooking water. And my husband pointed out, he goes, look, oh my goodness, they're tubing. And at first I'm like, yeah, cool, whatever. Let me get back to my Bible time because that's going to be the thing that actually calms me down. Well, he continued to put his attention on the tubers, which then put my attention on them. And before I knew it, I was feeling very anxious about the situation. The water we're overlooking is only a few inches deep at some points. And so I was convinced that the tubers were gonna hit the stones. It was very slippery. They were gonna get hurt, and it was just gonna be a disaster. So you can imagine, right? They're on the water. My husband is kind of talking about it. I'm feeling this anxiety. When all of a sudden, I began to think about the first time that I went tubing. It was when I was a kid, and I was maybe like 7 or 8, and my sister and I ended up going out together for my first time. And that really stopped me because a few years ago, I lost my sister. And I think at this point, it can be hard to remember some of those memories. And so if you've ever experienced grief, you know, like the first year, it's like constant waves. And then as you kind of ease out of that, as time goes on, those waves kind of become less. And for me, this became a wave because all at once, I had this memory that I didn't know I had. And it was a beautiful memory. And it hit me because I realized, had I kept myself in my journal, in my Bible, keeping my expectation of what it looked like for me to get back to calm, back to peace, I would have missed out on this incredible moment to remember. I noticed something. I began to ask questions, and I embraced the interruption that the Lord was asking me to embrace. I don't know if I did it perfectly. Actually, scratch that. I didn't do it perfectly. I fought it. But somehow I gave way into it. And so that's what I want to invite you into. This power of noticing. It's so powerful. It has the ability to stop us in our tracks. And I think it has the possibility for us to meet with the Lord in a powerful way. More powerful than sometimes being in the Bible or being in community or journaling or praying. And I'm not saying that all of these things are bad or unhelpful. In fact, these are great practices that are in Scripture, that are beautiful things that we should continue to do. But what I'm saying is that when we box our emotional, spiritual, physical being into these areas, we lock ourselves into destruction. We expect these things to be our solution instead of expecting the Lord to meet us right where we are and trusting that He has the thing that we need. Noticing is about holding the good and the hard. at the same time and trusting that the Lord is already in both of those things. A few years ago, I read Rebekah Lyons' book called Rhythms of Renewal, and it was a very good practical book on how to think about the rhythms in your life. And one of the things that I've kept to this day is a practice called taking a life inventory. A life inventory is kind of similar to taking the inventory of your kitchen or of your closet. It's noticing what you have, what's missing, and what you need to reevaluate to make changes, to make the space more effective. And so that's what we're going to take some time to do today. Doing this today will actually allow our minds and our bodies to kind of catch up with one another. It's hard to notice your world, what's happening inside of you, when you haven't noticed what has been happening inside of you. And so we're going to take a few minutes right now to do this. So go ahead, grab your journal, your pen. There's a download below you can grab that is a little journal page that will help guide you as well. But get what you need, take a few minutes, even grab some tea or coffee if that is what will help you center yourself. Grab those things, come back, and we'll get started working on this together. Okay, now it's time to take our life inventory. And let me tell you, it's only going to take a couple of minutes. It's very simple. Let's begin. First, let's start listing some of the things that are good. What brings you joy? What are you grateful for? And what's going well in your life? Take a few minutes to list some of those things. Next, we're going to list what's hard. What frustrations do you have? What's heavy? What's draining you? Take a moment to list all of those things. Next, let's list some of the things that are confusing. This category is so powerful because I have found personally that many of the things that I've listed in hard, I'm actually moving them to confusing because these are the things that are incomplete in my life and they just don't have solutions or answers to. And somehow that's easier to accept than something being hard. So what's incomplete? What's still confusing in your life? Take a few minutes to write those things down, and if you need to move anything from the other categories, go ahead and do that. Finally, what's missing in your life? What are you longing for? Maybe it's more time with God. Maybe it's more time to journal or create. Maybe it's a person in your life that you just haven't reached out to in a little while. Take some time to list what's missing in your life. And that's it. That is a life inventory. You might begin to notice some things. You might begin to notice some connections between what you've written down. You might notice that you feel lighter. The thing here is that you're not aiming for perfection. You're not aiming for a solution. You're not trying to fix anything. You're simply starting to notice what's happening in your life. You might want to jot down some of these ideas or thoughts as they kind of continue to stir in your brain. And throughout the week, you might notice that you're erasing some things or you're adding some other things. That's also completely okay. Next week, we're going to begin to notice what's happening in our physical world. We're going to use this inventory as our foundation, and we're going to continue having the conversation on what it looks like to notice what's happening. Thanks for joining me today. I can't wait to see you next week.